Hello everyone, my name is Lyrical Villain, and today we'll be going over how to make a Dagger of the Depths. The design was made by a user on Reddit. The link to the thread will be in the description box below. So what you'll need for this is a basic outline, some HD foam, which I got from Cosplay supplies, a box cutter, a metallic Sharpie of some sort. I'm going to be using weldwood rubber cement, a Dremel, and a heat gun. First, we'll start out by tracing our design on there. Just for this foam is incredibly dense. It's really sturdy. It doesn't really have a lot of give. It's perfect for props. I'd say a longsword or like anything like Buster Blade size, you might still need some supports in here, but because we're making basically a dagger and it's not going to really move under its own weight, we're not going to add any supports. So all we need are the three pieces, the two hilt pieces, and then the third, which will be our blade. So after I cut it out, I just glued it together. So basically the easiest way to go about this is to put a thin layer of contact cement on the surfaces that will be glued together. Both of them need it. And then you wait for it to become less wet looking, and then you can press them together firmly. I wouldn't recommend putting any real pressure or sanding them down until it's had about an hour or two to sit. Now it's time to prep it for sanding. I'll be using a Dremel for this, but I like to mark the lines for guides where I want the angled sanding to be. For the handle, I'm going to leave that alone because most of that is getting sanded down. I'm rounding the entire thing out so it fits a little bit more comfortably in my hand. And I will also be putting in little grooves for where the octopus eyes are going to go, or the squid eyes. So now that I've got everything set, I've picked out a couple of perfect little octopus eyes for the hilt. I'm going to glue these into the little indents that I made while sanding. And once that's done, I can start with sculpting. Now we can start sculpting with foam clay. I use Lumen's Lightweight. With this, all you'll need is a paintbrush, some water, and some silicone sculpting tools. So to start, you're going to want to wet your surface. The key to working with foam clay is to make sure that the surface you're putting the clay on is wet so it adheres properly. You won't even need to glue this on because it will literally it'll just stick right on. After that, you pinch out some foam clay and you can start mashing it onto your hilt. And then from there, you start to form it using your silicone tools. Again, make sure that the surface is wet, and you can always wet your clay as well to make it to like keep it from drying out before you're done sculpting. So I'm going to sculpt most of this off camera because I did not do a good job of staying in frame while I was actually sculpting. So this is what it looks like after I was done sculpting and putting it all in there. Next, we are going to heat seal the blade. I should have done this before I did my sculpting because heat Heating up your EVA foam clay can sometimes cause it to bubble and deform itself. Next, I'll be sealing it with Flex Bond. It just needs a couple of coats, and I usually apply it with either a regular brush or a sponge brush. The entire thing will be covered in it. I'm not gonna make you guys sit through all of that, but it dries on nice and clear, and it's very glossy. Now that everything's coated in Flex Bond, and we've gotten to this point, it is time for painting. I'm going to be using a combination of acrylics on the squid handle and FX flexible metallic paints on the blade. So I'll be using gunmetal and I believe silver. And this is my cat. This is Cinder. She is adorable, and I did pet her while off screen right there. And then I'll be mixing for a nice tan color for the bone carved hilt. Once I've gotten the base coat of the color that I'd like to see on the squid on, it's time for detailing. So basically, all I do for detailing this guy is I take a slightly darker shade of the primary priming color and I go into the creases, and then I'll probably off screen go in with watered down black acrylic and then kind of like re-go over those grooves a couple of times to make them so that they're dark and nice and noticeable. And then I usually touch up by going in with the light base coat again and just like clean up the raised ridges. And here's the final build. As you can see, I went back over it with a sponge brush and some green paint to kind of give it a little bit more character. This was a really awesome build. I had a lot of fun with it. Hope you guys had a great time watching me make it. It took me a total of about 2 days. Thank you again for watching all the way through. Please check me out on my website. Links are all in the description below, and I hope to see you again soon.